Yeah. Okay, so thank you all for joining us. My name is Tara Carpenter. I'm the implementation manager for PALAS, and I'm joined by my colleague Jill Scarson, and also by Angela Stanley from GPLS. And we're here to talk about the PALAS Collection Manager today. So the PALAS Collection Manager is our backend administrative portal for managing the PALAS app. So today, first off, I'm going to pop in the chat a link to our playlist of training videos on YouTube. We'll send this out afterwards with the slides and the recording, but this is just kind of an FYI if you want to save this now. As we go along, if you have questions, please feel free to pop them into the chat and Jill will be in there monitoring and we can read them out, or you can come on mute and, speak with us about it. So all that's okay. Please feel free. And now I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. One second. Okay. So we'll start with the slides, then we'll go over to our demo. And, oops, sorry, 2 more people right in here. Okay, so today we're talking about the Collection Manager. We're going to show you accessing the Collection Manager. We'll take a look at the catalog page. We'll look at some item records. I'll give you a dashboard overview. We'll talk a little bit about lists and lanes. We'll show you how to change passwords to add other admins to your account. And then finally, we'll do the demo and the Q&A. So I anticipate there will probably be many questions, so please feel free. Yeah, don't worry about that. We have plenty of time here, hopefully. So to start, accessing the PALAS Collection Manager. So all of you should already have a login to the Collection Manager. If you don't, please email support@thepalasproject.org and we will make sure that we get you that login information. So here's what it looks like when you start. You'll visit the URL, ga.thepalasproject.org/admin. That is the server where all of the Georgia libraries live. You'll log in with your email and your password. And if you forgot, you can either click forgot password, or if you don't have one at all, like I said, go ahead and email us and we'll get you in. So when you log in, first you'll see the catalog page, which is kind of like your home page. This mirrors the home page or catalog page that you see in the app. So this is kind of your home base. And from here, you can go through the menu to kind of navigate through all of the different aspects of the Collection Manager. From this page, you can sort by all ebooks or audiobooks if you want to have that filter on the same way as you can in the app. You can search or browse, and you can click on any item to view the details, the copies available, to edit the metadata for your library, or add an item to a list. So I'll show you how that works when we get into the demo. When you look at item record details, you can see more about every item that's in here. For example, this one, you can see a few things about this item, the details about the title, author, publisher, the categories that have been assigned to this nonfiction title. You can see the distributor is Overdrive, and it is an ebook, which is the format there, and there are 0 of 5 copies available right now. So this item has a hold list. And there are other tabs besides the details tab. The edit tab shows how you can update book details. So if you feel like something is incorrect or missing, you're able to do that. And as I said, that's just for your library's catalog. So if this is content from a shared collection, it's not going to globally update for all of the other libraries. It's really just for your catalog. In the classifications tab, you can also edit audience and classification info. So if you want to put more genres, subgenres, if you feel that the audience is wrong, say it's listed as children, but really it's YA, or if it's adult, you can make that the update there. Additionally, you can add items to lists. And again, I'll show you how to do that. Next up, the dashboard. So the dashboard tab will show you all of the usage data and information about the collections configured for your libraries. And it'll show you at the top that we call it the snapshot there. So under patrons, it will show you the cumulative number of patrons that have signed up for a card with your library or signed in. We'll show you patrons with active loans and holds and the total number of active loans and holds for your library in PALAS. It will give a breakdown of general inventory information, as well as a collection breakdown by vendor and by format. and you can also download your usage CSV file. And also you can see on the little square over here where it says inventory, there's a little down arrow. And that is the inventory reporting feature that our engineers have just kind of pushed live. It's only available right now for super admins, but if you're interested, we can run that report for you to see, but soon it will be pushed out to library admins as well. So that will be available to you soon. We're really kind of QAing it right now to make sure it has what it needs, that everything is correct, but that will be coming very soon. And then we also have a new total dashboard portal coming. We hope by the end of the year, but I can't give you a specific time frame. So once this happens, instead of that, this kind of dashboard that you see here, it will update to look more like this, and it will just have more granular information about your collections. We've tried to pop out all these little widgets to show you, hopefully, things of interest, checkouts by audience, by format, circulation by distributor, the top circulating ebooks and audiobooks, format, distributor, genre, audience checkouts, holds by format and distributor. There's also going to be the new monthly patron report, so it will tell you how many new barcodes have signed in and accessed your account or your library's account that month. The total checkouts, top search by format, by language, many other things. So we'll be looking for feedback on this too once this launches. So we've been working on this for a while with our engineering team and with different librarians to try and see what would be most impactful for them. All right, so next up, we're going to talk about lists. So in the app, we'll show you that we can make custom curations that are based on lists. So when you build a list, this is kind of where you create the list of what items you want to feature in a lane. It could be, audiobooks, ebooks. You can have all types of formats in your list. You can search by title, author, or relevance when you're building a list, and then adding various filters, whether it's by distributor, publisher, publication date, genre, language, subject, audience, author, title, classification. You can make automatically updating lists or manually created lists. And basically, this is the building block of making the lanes or the kind of custom featured carousels that you see in the app. So we'll go through making one of those together here in our demo in a minute. So once you make a list, then it will show up here on the lane page. And once you enable this, this is how you make those cool custom curation carousels. So we'll get into that more here in a moment. And this is what they look like. So new and noteworthy, staff picks, now trending, beach reads. These were all lists that were curated by our staff to kind of show you what that looks like. It can be anything you like, they can focus on holidays, on events specially happening at your library, ties into programming, whether it's summer reading or, book club or a cool guest speaker coming in. So this can be whatever you want it to be. But you don't have to do this either. This is all optional. If you have the time and inclination to make these, that's very fun. But if not, we have all of the default lanes that show up for you that we'll show you here in a sec. And also our team, we're available. If you need help, if you want us to enable some automatically for you, you can let us know. But yeah, this is just kind of a fun way to make the app more customized and fit more for your library. Additionally, you can change passwords and add new admins to your account. To change the password, you'll click on your email address at the top right, and then in that little dropdown, you'll click on change password to update that for you. And to add a new admin, you'll click on system configuration admins, and then add in the email address and temporary password for any staff members you'd like to add. All right, so we'll go ahead and show you all this in action now. All right, so first up, let me see here if there's anybody in the chat. Nope, okay, just checking. All right, so I'm going to show you a Georgia library first. This is Jefferson County Library System. And this is what it looks like on the catalog page when you first come onto the collection manager. And again, like I said, if you went into the Palace app and looked at this library, you would see the same exact thing. To start, if you look at the different items, you can click on any one of these to look at the item record. So I'm going to go ahead and click here to show you what that looks like. So this is Home Sweet Christmas. And again, you'll see all the details here, the publisher, the categories, the audience, the distributor, the format, and that this book is available to check out right now in the app because it has 1 of 1 copies available. The book summary is also here. If we click on the Edit tab, you'll see here, now here's some details as far as the title, the subtitle, the author, medium, all of this publication date, imprint, and the summary. So you are able to edit these fields. You can click in here and that will show you basically what it has listed, but if you want to make the edits, you can. Next up is the classifications tab. This is where you would edit the audience. So for example, here, if you felt like, no, this is really a young adult title or an all ages title, you could do that. You can also change the classification from fiction to nonfiction. And then you can add other genres. And down here, you'll see the records that came from the source. So this is how Overdrive has classified this as a romance title. And then lists. So if this item was already in a list, it would show up here, which it isn't. But if you want to add it to a new list, you can do so. You would click create a new list and it will bring you to the list page to go ahead and start building a list. So you're going to build some holiday romances. That's how you would do that. Okay, so that's kind of what it looks like when you go into an item record and how you edit it. You can browse through here, but if you're looking for a title specifically, up here in the search field, you can go ahead and type in, an author, title, genre, whatever it may be. Let's say we're looking for Jane Austen. And then it will bring up all those titles here for you to view, to edit, or, to check on holds, whatever it may be. You can see this is basically an unlimited license. So, I mean, it says, 999 copies available, but really this is like an unlimited amount. So if you see that, there's no issue with holds at all. All right, so another thing I wanted to note, so when you look at these lanes, so like fiction, nonfiction, young adult fiction, young adult nonfiction, children middle grade, and world languages, those are the default top level lanes, we call them. Within them, there are nested sublanes. So whichever option you pick here, I'll go ahead and click on fiction. I'll give it a sec to load here. So now you can see here's some of the sublanes. This all happens automatically. They're classified based on the metadata we receive from the vendor. It puts them into these sublanes. So like adventure, classics, comics, graphic novels, drama. And then if you click in again, if there are more sublanes, you'll see them there. If not, then you'll start to just see the results there showing up in the list. Another thing I wanted to mention here, we'll go back to our main page, is that there's also been a purchase by GPLS of children's non-English content, so foreign language content that is available for every library. It's been configured for you. So to find that, if you scroll down to world languages, so again, this is that top level lane. Within there are the sublanes with all of the featured languages. So you can see I put Spanish at the top, Albanian, Arabic, Armenian, Bengali, Chinese, Czech. So if you scroll down, you can click in and then take a look at titles within, with the featured languages here. So that's the easiest way to find that content. People can also search by title and author, but it may be easier to find them in these kind of collections based on group by language. All right, so that's the real overview of the catalog page. This is what you'll mostly be doing here. Next up, I'm going to go ahead to the left up on the tabs here to dashboard, because this is something that everybody will want to know about. Everybody needs, uses the usage data. So here you'll see the snapshot like I was telling you about. So right now there are 6 total patrons that have logged in to Palace from this library, 1 with active loans, 1 with active holds. the inventory information, the inventory report. And then here, this is the collection information. So we've had a bunch of questions about that. I just wanted to tell everyone here to kind of explain how this works. So you've received a lot of content from GPLS. There's a lot of shared content here that you may not realize that you have. So the first thing is the Erie, Georgia statewide collection. This is the Palace Marketplace content that everybody's been purchasing and putting into this big group account to share with all of the Georgia libraries. So when you see this, that's what that means. It's Palace Marketplace content. You've probably already contributed, or if not, you will be soon. And you can see if you hover over the details, right now there are 5,892 unique titles in this collection. And then the breakdown by audio, 2,437 items, and by book, 3,455 items, and then all of the kind of license information. So you can see that's what that means. Next up, this is a GAD library. So your GAD Overdrive collection is configured here. For Baker and Taylor, so all of you have this Baker and Taylor collection. This is the eRead Kids collection of content from Baker and Taylor. So this is configured for every library, and that's what that is. We called it Baker and Taylor, but if this is confusing, we can always update the name of that, the way it's displayed in here for you. There's also an Overdrive Advantage collection for this library. Then all of you will have a Palace Marketplace account that has your library's name. So, you know, Jefferson County Palace Marketplace, there's nothing in any of these accounts right now because everyone's been purchasing from that shared account. So once the purchasing in the shared account is done, we will go ahead and activate the individual accounts for you. So if you ever want to purchase again from the marketplace from your own budget, just for your library, you can do so. And you don't have to, it's just an option for you. It will be there, but that's what this is. Next up is the Palace Bookshelf. And this is an open access public domain collection. You can see there are over 25,000 titles right now. And we are working with our curation core to kind of refine and take a new look at this bookshelf content to see, is it useful? Is this something public libraries want? So in our next newsletter, we're going to be surveying libraries to see exactly what we want to do with this in the future. But for now, it's kind of a mishmash of classics, of new kind of self-published, but public domain content. There are old medical journals. There are new medical posters coming from Open Research Library. So a lot of open content is there for you now. Next up, there is the statewide Georgia Public Library Service Biblio Board collection. And this is the simultaneous use, perpetual access children's content purchased by GPLS for every library in Georgia. And again, this is that collection I showed you that has the foreign language, non-English content, and I believe 29 languages. So there's a lot there. For these titles, they're really great for, you know, not only like book clubs, but for, you know, like school projects where maybe everybody has to read the same book in class, or, you know, everybody in this grade has to read a book about an animal and everybody in this grade has to read a book about a state or a president. So being able to have lots of, you know, titles where everyone can read them at the same time is really a benefit to everyone. So I would say look at those BiblioBoard titles when you're looking for stuff that's always available and available to everyone at the same time. And finally, the statewide Georgia Public Library Service Palace Marketplace. So this is basically for Angela's account if she ever purchased things that didn't go into that shared collection. This is where they would show up. So that's your breakdown on all of these collections, if you're wondering what these all mean. And then down here at the bottom is the download CSV button. So when you do that, you'll see here you can select the dates you'd like to look at for usage. Usually, you know, we're looking by month. So you would say, okay, I want to see the usage for this month, download. That will bring up the CSV form for you. Here, let me open that up to show you. So there's a lot of data in here. We have instructions on how you can filter that. But basically, this is kind of what you're going to see right at the time, the different events. You can filter, you know, to see just checkouts, or you can look at holds placed. You can see also, which may be of interest here over in the collection name, whether it's coming from that statewide collection, if the checkouts are GAD materials. It looks like most of the checkouts for this library so far are coming from the eRead Georgia statewide collection, and you can see the format. So, you know, a lot of useful information is in there for you if you want to dig in, and we can always help you, you know, understand and interpret that. And then once the new portal comes online, that one I showed you the preview of, it'll be much more straightforward. You'll still be able to access the CSV if you like to manipulate the raw data, but it'll be more kind of like this, where it'll be, you know, all on the screen for you, and graphic wise, instead of having to like sift through an Excel sheet. So that's what's going on there. Let me see. It looks okay. I wanted to pop into the chat here for a sec. Are there any questions, Jill?
There's one regarding the metadata, but I think Angela has already kind of indicated that we'll talk a little bit about that at the end. So if you want to continue on with the presentation, we can circle back to it.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so that's the dashboard tab in a nutshell. We looked at the catalog. Now I'm going to go over to lists. For hidden books, this is an admin feature. So if any of you need a book hidden from your collection, if it's had a challenge, for whatever reason you don't want it showing up in your collection, just email us and I'll go ahead and I will hide it, suppress it from your catalog. It'll be there on that hidden books tab for us in the background. So then if you ever want to add it back, we can find it and add it back for you. So that is an option. It was a feature developed for Georgia libraries. So just let us know. It's very easy to do. You just send us an email to support@thepalaceproject.org. All right, next up, lists and lanes. So I don't want to make a list in a real library here. So I'm going to switch to our demo library to show you here. So when you make a list, you can make it anything you'd like to be. Like I said, it can be about a themed month, like AAPI month, you know, adaptations in TV and film, Amazon titles. It could be based on publisher. You could just be featuring, you know, audiobooks. It could be by author title or anything else. I wanted to show, some of you have purchased Blackstone Unlimited content. That's something I've been talking to many libraries about. So say you bought some Blackstone content and you want to make a list to feature that content in a lane. So we'll go ahead and make a new list. So I would call that a Blackstone Unlimited, you know, whatever title. That's audio content. So I'm going to select audio as my format. And then distributor for this, I know, is Blackstone Audio. Or Blackstone Unlimited, excuse me. So I'm going to go ahead and add that. Oh, look, it did not show up anything. So maybe it's Blackstone Audio. Did I have it wrong? So this is something, no,
Try Blackstone.
just Blackstone. Ha,
Yes.
let's see. No.
Oh, come on.
Well, we're in our demo library, so I apologize. We may not have. I thought we did though.
We
Yeah.
do.
Okay.
Give
So
me a
this
moment.
is, yeah, I have it. Thanks, Jill. So everyone, you can see it can be finicky. This is something else we're working on developing. And I want to show, actually, that reminds me while we're talking about this. In the last session, we talked about standardized terms. So I made a list for all the different categories for now of standardized terms you can use when searching. And I've talked to our engineers. This is something we're going to ask for either a type ahead here or a drop down. So you'll know whether you have to type Blackstone or Blackstone Audio or however that is. That's something that is very annoying. So I understand that. And please let me know if you have more feedback as you go in here. In this case, the distributor equals Blackstone. We're going to have the list automatically update, which means anytime content from Blackstone is added, it will automatically add to this list. And you can see over here on the left, these are all items that are Blackstone that meet the parameters set out in this list. So I'll go ahead and I'll save it. So once it's saved, it's going to show up on the left in the list manager under Blackstone. So you'll see it here. It says 100, but usually it takes a few hours, maybe up to overnight for the full list to index. For an automatically updating list, you can't edit it once that index happens. So you can still edit it until probably the end of the day here. And then the script will run and then it's kind of set in stone. If you selected manually updating, then of course you can go back and manually update at any time, as many times as you'd like. If you don't want this anymore, if you made a mistake, you can always delete it. Another thing I'll mention here is once you create the list, then you can share it. So if you want to share it, say you're like, oh, this is great, I want to share it with everybody, you can click the share button. What this will do is it will share it with all of the other Georgia libraries on your server. And they don't necessarily have to use it. They basically will have it available to them if they want to create a lane with that list. Otherwise, it's just a nice thing you've done. And also you can always email the group or let us know and we can share that information out. Especially if it's for something everyone's doing, say like a summer reading list or something like that. So I'll show you how that works in a sec here. So we'll go over to the lanes tab. So over on the left under Lane Manager, this is where all of the lanes kind of live. So not only the custom lanes that you make, but any of the default lanes too. So I'll kind of scroll here for a sec. So the default lanes start with fiction. So you can see your fiction, nonfiction, young adult, fiction, nonfiction, children, middle grade, and world languages. Within that, if you expand it, you can see all those sublanes. So a few things here, you can see these are all visible, but if you don't want to show them, you can go ahead and click the visible icon here, like for erotica, for example, maybe one you want to hide. If you click that, you'll see it will update and then it'll say hidden. So now that will no longer appear in your catalog. The content will still be there, but that lane that says erotica will not be there. So you can do that for any of these. And if you want to re-enable it, you'll just click hidden again, and that will then activate it for you. All these can be moved around too with a drag and drop. You can see I kind of have a little hand icon, so I could grab and move all of these around. So say I wanted, historical fiction at the top of here. I would just click save order changes, and then that will kind of lock that in. So within fiction, this is now going to be the top sublane. Again, with the top level lanes, so what that means is new and noteworthy is the top featured lane over here in the catalog. Got to load here for a sec. So yeah, so you can see new and noteworthy, staff picks, and DEIA book club are the three top ones. So there they are here in this order, but say I really want staff picks to be at the top, and then as seen on TV, and then we read banned books. I just have to save the order changes again, and now that will go ahead and update the catalog screen to feature the lanes in that order. And say staff picks, we're going to do that in September. I have it ready to go. Again, you can just hide it. And then when you're ready, you can come in and click visible to kind of repopulate that in the catalog. So that's nice if you have it, a few hours set aside to do this for the year or for the season. You can have them all ready to go, just hide them and then enable when the time is right. So we'll make our Blackstone lane just to show you here. So again, you need to save the name of the lane. This is where you would find, by the way, if somebody shared lists with you, it's by default going to just show you what's owned. So the ones you made yourself or your staff made at your library. But if you change it to all, it will show you any others in this list here of other lanes or lists that have been shared with you. So that's where you'll find that. And let me find my list in the many, many lists here. Blackstone. Well, this is what happens when you have many lists. Oh, so we'll drag it over here, and you can also do like multiple things. So say you don't just want that, you also want this list, you want this, all of these to kind of be populating in the same lane. You can drag as many as you want, or if this one was an accident, you can remove from the lane, or you can drag them back. When you're ready, go ahead and click Save Lane. So now you can see over on the left, the top lane featured is Blackstone. So I can leave it there, or I can drag it down here. Say, okay, I want it down here. And then once you do that, you'll go ahead and you can double check in the catalog. Sometimes it takes a few minutes to update, but hopefully we'll see if it's here right now. If not, we'll check back on it. All right, there you go. So here it is. So that's how you kind of make the custom lanes. Hopefully it's pretty straightforward, but we have the training videos that I put into the chat and on our YouTube that we'll share with the group. But as you get in there and practice, you'll see how that works. But it's kind of a fun way to just feature content and keep the look of your app and your collection fresh. Next up, system configuration. So here, this is where you can add admins to your library. You'll click on create a new individual admin. You'll add their email address and a password. Usually I just make a default password to tell people to come in and then go ahead and change the password. You'll select their library, which will just be your one library usually, unless you're an admin for multiple libraries, and then click submit. To change your own password, you'll click on your email address at the top right and click change password, and then enter the new password twice and click submit. And that will update the password entry for you. All right, so let me come back over here. Our catalog screen. Okay, so are there questions?
There are a couple in here. Are you still working on the demo, or do you
No,
want to?
I've
Okay.
is there anything else you'd like to go over while we're in here?
I think that pretty much covers everything.
Okay.
One of the big questions that we did get asked, though, it says, I've noticed lots of problems with how items are classified in the preset lanes. Fiction and nonfiction, nonfiction and fiction, obviously adult titles that are in YA. This is very time consuming to manually change each one. Is there anything being done at the GPLS level to correct these, or to see the new titles coming into Palace are classified correctly?
Yes, we have received this feedback from multiple libraries already. All of this, the metadata information comes from the distributor. So something I will note here is that we're an aggregator app and we receive all this content through multiple feeds from multiple distributors that all kind of do things differently. So this is a unique challenge to Palace, kind of figuring that out and standardizing everything. So we have a ticket with our engineers already working on this issue. It is a known issue. Basically, you can manually update it right now, but we hope to have a global update once the engineers can figure out the best way to handle this issue. But yes, it is an ongoing thing right now, and we'll let the group know as soon as we have an update on that. But I'm going to make a note here to check in on that ticket.
Yes, and if you're ever interested in what we're working on our Palace Wiki, there is a section that deals with our sprint summaries, and this is like the in the moment work that our engineers are doing. Follow-up question here, if we update the metadata for a title, does it update for everyone or just our library?
No, it updates just for your library. So that will be just a local change for the metadata. If you want a global update, you would need to let our team know and we can, update for the group if you feel like it needs the global update. If it's more than just the age, like audience classification, we may need to, I don't know if we want to like survey the group or the best way to go about that. Yeah, I guess we should talk to the group about that, but we can do it. I can always make the suggestion to everyone, or maybe our team will talk about the best way to do that. But yeah, definitely email us if you feel like there's something egregious that needs to be fixed for everyone. Put that on my list too. Okay, we'll get back to you.
Tara, there was a
Yes.
question about changing from light mode to dark mode.
Oh, in the app?
So when checking out ebooks, you have to change the settings in the ebook to dark background for each ebook, and that doesn't seem to be a universal setting unless you can point us in that direction.
Okay, well, I'll have to take a look and get back to you. Can I ask who asked that? I can email you or I can email the group.
Yeah, if you want to send the response to me, I can make sure it goes out to the group, but it was Melanie at Middle Georgia.
Thanks, Melanie. Okay. I'll get you the answer on that. For reading in the app. Okay.
With regards to the infrastructure for the app being in either light mode or dark mode, I believe that will follow the whatever the native setting is in their app. So if you have an iPhone set to dark mode, the app itself will show in dark mode. I believe with the ebooks, you might have to manually change those settings, but that is something, if it is a personal preference that you're going to want for every book, we might need to put in a support ticket or a feature request for that. But we'll look into whether or not there's an option.
Yeah, I think Jill's right that it's like an individual setting, but that might just be like a feature request we ask for, but I just want to verify. So I'm scrolling through the chat. So for the Baker and Taylor eRead Kids, it looks like Angela says that's okay to update that name. So I will do that for everyone.
And while we're on the topic of names of collections, I did want to mention that while we're happy to come up with a more descriptive name for the statewide BiblioBoard collection that currently includes the children's materials, it's entirely possible that in the future that collection will contain far more than just multilingual children's materials. So we could go ahead and create a new kind of top level collection every time we do, let's say we did like a big, Georgia history collection. We could make that a discrete collection every time if there was a strong need for that. But the intent right now is for all of those perpetual access simultaneous use titles to kind of be in the same top level collection bucket, and then you'd be able to pull those out by language or by audience as you create lists and lanes. If there's a strong preference there to move in one direction or another, we're happy to consider that. Or if the Lyrasis team has some suggestions from what they've seen in other states, I'm glad to keep that in mind.
Great, thank you. Okay. So another question, are there definitions of the circulation events? And thank you, Jill answered. We do have a document with instructions on how to run that CSV form that also defines all the circulation events. So we will also share that with Angela to send to the group after the webinar ends. And then let's see here. Okay, and then one thing I've noticed when checking out ebooks is that you have to change the settings of the book to dark background. Okay, so we talked about that one. And when it says checked out for 13 days, does that mean 13 days after the day of the checkout? Yes, it does mean that. So it's a countdown. So if you have a 14-day limit on checkouts, you'll check out today. And then after today, there's 13 days left for the countdown. So you'll see that little number indicated on the My Books tab under the read or listen option there. And then let's see, Jill put in the code sprint summaries, the link in there if anyone's curious in the chat. And let's see here. Another question, I think there isn't a way to show just available titles. Is there a way to sort so that available titles show first? Yes, there is. So in the app, we have it set to default to available now. So when you are browsing in the app, it should show you items that are available now. If you are searching for a specific title that, might have holds on it, then obviously you'll see the ones that have holds, but the app is always meant to show you the things that are available for checkout right now. Next up, how do I edit titles in a lane? So I might need more info on this. So when you say, how do I edit titles in a lane, like how do you remove items from a lane? Yes. So if you have included it in a list, so if it's a custom lane, you can go back to the list to delete the item. So say we're here in this one and you don't want, you know, this title, you can remove from list, and then save. So now those items will be removed from that lane. If it is like a general lane, like a fiction, nonfiction, that is more difficult. I would say that right now it's happening automatically on the CM's backend by metadata. So we can't, I'm not sure if we can actually suppress it from going into a lane right now. That's another feature that we've talked about, being able to kind of control more of what's flowing into those. So I'll have to ask about that and see if there's a way that we can do it. But if it's a custom one, then you can definitely do it. Yeah, the pre-created ones, exactly. Thank you. Let me ask about that, because I think it's just kind of like we have the sort. I think it defaults to sorting by author within the lane by default. And then we can change it to have within the lane, it sorts either by recently added, title, or author. Those are kind of the options. We had talked about adding like a randomize just for the sort, but we hadn't really discussed being able to just like remove things from the pre-created lanes. So I think that's a really good option. Okay, thank you. I'm gonna put on my list. All right, so we looked at that. A patron this morning asked for ability to keep a list of titles they want to read later. Is this possible? So right now it's not possible. It is on our feature request voting board. So let me grab that here. Hold on one sec.
Added it to the chat for you,
Oh,
Tara.
thank you, Jill. Okay, so we have this board. This is FeedBear as the software. We have kind of pre-populated this with some of our commonly requested features. So everyone can feel free to come here and vote on anything that's already listed. If what you're looking for isn't listed, you can also add it here. You have to add your name and email address to post. But you can go ahead and do that and let other people vote. Basically, we will take the top 1 or 2 items that are voted on this quarter to bring to our engineers for hopefully development on our roadmap. You know, we're a small team, we're a small group, but we want to get through all these things. We're just trying to figure out what are the most important things to our community. So the opt-in reading history is one, and then also a wish list we have on here somewhere. I have to find it, but let me see. Wish list. No. All right. Well, you can look on your, sorry, I'll find it, but there is a wish list option on here that you can upvote for us to present to our engineers. Okay. Well, thank you for posting that, Jill. Okay. Did I get everything? Did I miss any of the questions? Let me double check here.
I think that is most of it. And if we've missed anything, please either unmute or drop in the chat just so that it surfaces to the top.
Thank you.
Tara and Jill, I
Yes.
just want to mention for the group that while there were only maybe 1 or 2 libraries that were live in the app before June 30th, and therefore there's very little data to report for this year's annual report, we will be doing some customized guidance and stats chats for next year's annual report, specifically to make sure that we have a good method in place to recommend for not double counting checkouts between Palace and your other providers. So we'll be working to make sure that you have that well in advance of next year's annual report, but just know that I think we might only have 1 library that would even have had any data to report in this year's annual report, which of course ends on June 30th of 2024.
Thanks, Angela. Okay. Are there any other questions or anything you'd like me to show in the collection manager while we're all together? I'll also put a plug here for the group that if you have not finished purchasing your content in the Palace Marketplace, please be sure to check in there this week to get those carts sent over so we can get everything validated and all set for you before the deadline. So I'll be here watching my email, and Cav and Jill will also be on our end, and Angela and Evan at GPLS will be approving. So if you have questions, please let us know. Lindsay, you're welcome. Yeah, so Lindsay says thank you. I know there are many questions. This is kind of new software in two places, the backend portal and also the app. So definitely please feel free to email us, or we can always do, you know, a Zoom call with you and your staff. It's new but exciting, says Melanie. Thank you. Yeah, it is. It's exciting. And we're so grateful to all the Georgia libraries. You guys have given us so much awesome feedback and asked excellent questions. So we're really, I think that's going to help us refine what we have here. We really appreciate that. So thank you. And thanks for your patience with us too. We're a pretty new app. We're a small team, but we're really trying to reflect and meet the needs of our libraries. Jill and I are both people with backgrounds in libraries. I've worked in public libraries for many years, so I have experience, you know, with some of this. So it's just, I'm excited too for the group. I just wanted to say thank you. So definitely go to that board if you've got feedback, if you want features, or if you want to just vote, have your voice heard. And I'll share with the group once we have our next meeting about what hopefully makes the cut to the roadmap. We're hoping at least one, but maybe two. So that's my plan.
Yeah, we really can't say enough how much your feedback matters. And I think for us to better advocate for you, we need data that we can point to. So that feedback board is just another opportunity for us to kind of record things and advocate on your behalf with our engineers. And it's one thing for us to say that people are asking for things, it's another thing to show it. So, you know, it's not personal to us. Whatever feedback you have, please, please, please don't hesitate to add it to that board.
Yeah, and I have the list. So I'll send Angela our follow-ups, but I'm going to check in on the cataloging ticket for things that are being misclassified by audience. If we're able, what do we do about global updates to metadata? If we can enable universal dark mode for reading an app, if that's going to be your preferred setting. I will update the name of the Baker and Taylor collection for everyone to eRead Kids, so everyone has more clarity on what it is you have and are looking at. And I'm also going to, it'll probably be a feature request to be able to hide items from a lane if it's like a pre-made lane, like a high level fiction, nonfiction, what have you. And yeah, I think that's everything I will get back to you about. All right. We'll double check any more last minute questions here in the chat.
I had one quick clarifying question for
Yes.
Lindsay in follow-up to the questions about a misclassification. We were aware of titles being misclassified in terms of audience, but you mentioned that you were also seeing some erroneous classification in terms of you know, genres or fiction, nonfiction. Can you confirm that you're seeing that on your side? Because that I think is a little bit different from what I'd heard reported from other libraries.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, yes. So Jen Schuman and I have both gone through and we found several examples. I think maybe she sent you one, Angela, that was maybe nonfiction in the fiction or vice versa. And then we've also seen some very obvious graphic novels or titles that are not graphic novels that should be classified in the graphic novel lanes.
Okay, so I know from personal experience, and maybe this is a good chance for Palace to weigh in on this. When we have specific to the graphic novels question, we have struggled with this in
Mhm.
eRead Kids, because those categories are based on the booksellers BISAC categories, and
Yep.
so there's a graphic novels category, but then there's graphic novels underneath children's, age range fiction graphic novel. So you have to catch the graphic novels in any of like 12 different places.
Yeah.
I am assuming that is the disconnect there, because that's coming directly from the provider vis-a-vis the publisher's BISAC category. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. So that's something I think our engineers are trying to figure out the best way to handle this. Because again, we have all these different publishers with different ways that they're showing, like some of them call it BISAC, Overdrive. We're not exactly sure how they're weighting things. Like they will show us like a term. Let me see if I can find one to show you. It'll say terms with a weight, but we don't really have visibility into how they're weighting these things. I think it's complex. We're trying to figure out exactly how to get this all right and get it classified in a way that's easy to see and understand. We have one of our colleagues, Courtney, who has been kind of working on this issue for a while with our engineers trying to figure it out. Just trying to see if I can show you this here. Okay, so here's kind of, if you can see this. So this is all the information going into where this is going to be featured. So they all have this weight, they're all from Overdrive. We've got grade level, Lexile, and then these different classifications. So sometimes it all makes sense and then it can be filed into the correct place, but sometimes there's conflicting information from different sources, and that's what causes the confusion. And also I noted your issue about how they're being sorted into various places when really they should just be sorted into one place, whether it's, graphic novels and comic books, or if it's children's graphic novel, comic books, or how we want that to be displayed. So honestly, I don't really have like a great answer right now, except that our team's working on it. And if anyone has feedback, or if we want to do like a little working group to talk through it about what makes the most sense, that might be helpful. So I'm not sure
Yeah,
if
happy
anyone
to
else.
pull that together, Tara.
Okay.
If we have we've had maybe 3 or 4 different folks reach out with questions. I looked back at Jen's email, and it was specific to a title that was showing up in YA that would that might be considered an adult biography about a particular individual. But yeah, I think if that's helpful to y'all, we would be glad to pull together like kind of a small working group to provide some feedback. I think it's helpful to shift the way we're describing the issue from misclassification to the Palace logic is interpreting what's being given to it. And so maybe we need to change that logic or that interpretation in some way. But yeah, I do appreciate that as an aggregator, your data is only as good as the data you're taking in.
Exactly. Thank you. Yep. So any additional feedback on that, you can email the group, or you can email support.palsproject.org, or let Angela know and she can share with us. But I'll talk to our team about potentially creating a working group to discuss in more detail. So I would say let Angela know if you're interested and we can get something organized. Thank you. Any other questions here? Looks like we've got 5 more minutes. Or if not, you can always follow up afterwards and email us.
I have one last question for the group, which is, this is our last scheduled training session before we plan to share the statewide announcement in the middle of September, kind of tying that into Library Card Sign Up Month. Are there any additional training needs that y'all have or sessions you would like to see that your staff might be asking for, or just kind of gaps? Would it be helpful to just have a general office hours with the Lyrasis team where you can kind of pop in and ask anything that comes up? Just open to your input here as we reach the end of our summer training cycle. Yes, Lindsay, there will be marketing materials. We actually have a toolkit drafted and ready to roll. I've asked our Marcom team to make a couple of changes. I'm going to be sharing that draft kit out this week. So, and the actual go live with the press release won't happen until, like I said, probably at least the second week in September. So you'll have lots of time with that toolkit to plan your marketing outreach once we want to make sure you've got that well in advance of the actual go live. Yeah, absolutely. Do we know if there is training for patrons in Niche Academy similar to Libby? So we don't currently have patron training set up in Niche Academy. That's a good idea. We do have the robust YouTube channel that Lyrasis has created with some patron focused getting started guides, and we're going to link to those from the toolkit. If you think it would be helpful to curate some training in Niche Academy as well, I'm glad to talk with our Director of Continuing Education, Dorcas Davis, and the Lyrasis team. And maybe we've got a couple of folks on this call who might like to help curate that list. But we do have a few videos available.
I linked the two patron-facing ones, how to use the app on iOS and how to use the app on Android. These are in English. We also have all the videos in Spanish. So if you have Spanish-speaking patrons, we do have them available in Spanish in our Spanish playlist. A lot of the other videos are specifically for staff members. It's more about like the backend portal we talked about today, about purchasing the Palace Marketplace, things like that. But yeah, we're happy to assist if you want to make different, new or more Georgia library focused Niche Academy videos. Angela, thank you for also mentioning the library resources. On our library resources page, we've got, if you scroll down here, some of the getting started guides have been posted in other languages. And I just got on Friday, we'll post the English on one side, Spanish on the other getting started guide. It's really like a little half sheet here, if I can load this up real quick. So it's just an easy 5-step one printable you can put out. We also have little QR code cards like this, and we have bookmarks as well. So we'll be sending some of these materials for you to put out. You can see here, so people can just like scan the QR code, make this bigger. Yep, so they can you can put this out. It's just a little one. They can scan that, download the app, and go from there. And then the bookmark. I don't have the digital bookmark, but I have the physical bookmark here. So we'll have some of those. But let us know if there are other materials you need. Okay. Any other questions? It looks like it's 11 o'clock, so we'll probably wrap up here and let everyone be on their way. But please feel free to reach out if you have questions or need any assistance with anything. And thank you for joining us today. Go ahead and stop our share here.